Good morning, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats, and this is our special pre-spring break edition. And we have a guest who's a new guest blogger for San Antonio Charter Moms. Her name is Gloria Nwelue. I know that's not, it's an interesting spelling, but yes, I practiced. So Gloria, welcome. Yeah. And okay, so Gloria, so introduce yourself a little bit. And we realized like we were connected by a mutual friend, but we realized we actually know like a lot of people in common, and we had crossed paths pre-pandemic as well. So, but yes, so talk about your mom cred and like why you're like a great person to write this post about like fun stuff to do around San Antonio for spring break.
Well, that's so nice. I feel like to give somebody mom cred is a huge compliment. So thank you. I am a mom of two. I have a 6-year-old who's actually a kindergartner at Great Hearts Monte Vista this year. I also have a 3-year-old, one boy and one girl. We have recently settled in Alta Vista. So we love being sort of in the heart of San Antonio. And I lived here previously before kids. We moved away for a few years and now we're back. So I keep referring to this part of our lives in San Antonio as San Antonio 2.0, where we actually have kids. And so the things we are looking for and the things we are interested in are quite different. But I would like to consider myself somewhat of a local expert on things to do with kids here.
Yeah. And I know like you have a background in marketing and like being a community manager for like online stuff. So, so like, I mean, you know what stuff around, but I mean, gosh, I mean, y'all moved here like during the pandemic and like, so it's like San Antonio 2.0 so far has been like pandemic edition, but we're moving towards things being able to reopen, right? Like our older relatives are getting vaccinated and the weather's getting better and we can get outside and explore.
Yeah, so that moving during peak pandemic meant we couldn't hit the ground running when we got here in the normal sense of adventuring around a new city. But it certainly meant that we could walk to the park and find out which places are best to pack a picnic and scope out the best places on the river that aren't crawling with tourists, those sorts of things. So I do feel like this particular blog post will be helpful in the sense of safe things as we sort of delicately dip our toes back into planning outings and things like that. And it's hopefully optimistic for some people that have felt cooped up at home. Like these are the things we can do safely, and hopefully it will just unfold from there as time goes on.
Yeah. So I want to mention to everybody, so in the description of the video, you can click on the link and it will take you to the blog post that Gloria wrote that I'm so grateful about. So can we like dive in to like, okay, so you picked like kind of 3 different themes and you have like examples of activities that kind of fit those themes. So like the first theme that you brought up was you wrote hit the trail and play. So can you highlight some of the things in that category?
So I styled this post sort of like a choose your own adventure book, right? So depending on the ages of your kids, you might be able to swing a whole day being away from home. If you're me, I don't skip nap. So we come home for nap time, which means that I'm always on a mission to really like wear them out in the mornings. So we sort of have our day broken into 2 parts, pre-nap and post-nap. But either way, hopefully the things I've included, you can make a day out of, you can make a morning out of, or even an evening. So when it comes to parks, there's 2 requirements for me and my family. 1, they must have a paved path for bikes and scooters. And 2, they have to have a playground. What that means is you're basically getting 2 for 1, right? So you're getting the playground aspect, but you're also getting the energy out via the bike ride, or maybe you have somebody learning. Right now, my 3-year-old is learning, my 6-year-old can ride. And I feel like I don't have to explain this to any parent, how you will inevitably end up hauling a bike halfway down the path yourself, right? So kids lose their attention span, they need to take a break. So we always go for parks that have both. That way, when they're tired of riding, they can swing for a little bit, they can slide for a little bit. Our favorite park is Woodlawn. It's close to our house, so we can get there pretty easily. But I would say it's even worth a drive if you don't live close. The path is paved and it's also not too long. So for little legs, it's not too aggressive or ambitious. And their playground is really great. They have a super tall sort of castle-like playground. And side by side, they have a smaller toddler playground. So depending on your kids' ages, it's nice because it kind of checks all the boxes. The big kids can play on the big playground and you can easily watch the little ones as well. And then, of course, the icing on the cake is the ducks and the geese, which are always fun to watch. We haven't fed them yet. I've recently learned you don't feed ducks bread. Inga, you probably know this. But next time we go, we're going to bring lettuce scraps because I've heard that you can bring, whatever vegetables are going bad in your fridge, pack those in your bag and they will eat those up. And it's also good for them. So just a little insider scoop.
One of my friends keeps deer corn on hand.
Yes, exactly.
She'll sneak down to the park and free. Yeah. Or like birdseed.
That's what we need to get our hands on. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'll drop some on your porch. We've got some extra. So yeah.
Oh, we would love that. We'll make good use of it.
Yeah. That is a really cool park. And it has so much history, right? It's got like the cool little lighthouse, and I mean it's iconic for San Antonio. And
totally.
I think that's on my wish list for so like we've spent a lot of time on the Greenway trails. And so like one reason why I'm so glad that you were guest posting is that like as moms, like our working memory is fluid, and my kids are 11 and 13 now, and it's a completely different game than when you have like it's like, oh yeah, nap time. Oh man, like I remember like at one point I had like one that was giving up his nap while I was breastfeeding the younger one, and like there's just a whole other set of factors involved with that, or where there's a good changing table. Like there's just all these other things and then when you're a bigger kid, like
change.
Yeah. Like parks that seemed big now seem small because my kids have bigger legs and they cover more territory. And so yeah, it's just different. So we look for things like the Greenway Trail system because those trails go on for like miles and miles, but you don't want that with small children. You don't want them to end up on the other side of San Pedro Creek. Right? You want them like you're
stuck. And I'm telling you, somebody is carrying the bike back to the cart. It's not the kids.
Exactly.
It's us.
Yeah. But Woodlawn does, as far as I know, I'll have to double check, but I think it does connect up with the Greenway Trail system because there's the West Side Creeks area of the Greenway Trail system. So it's a good place to graduate
from small trail to big trail.
Right. And my kids, even though they're older, like they still like playgrounds. So, so like we're looking for things like, one of the parks you mentioned is Hardburger Park. And
yes, I was going to mention that.
Trails, and they have great playgrounds. So it's like a win-win.
And the new nature bridge there, which is the land bridge, which connects east and west. And we haven't actually made it out there, but I can't wait. It's been on our list. It's supposed to be just really cool and a place that you feel like you aren't really in San Antonio. You're truly amongst nature, but you're above a parkway. So I can't wait to experience that. And one cool thing I found out researching is that they have a play area there on the land bridge where everything was made from trees they took down while building the land bridge. So there's trees you can climb on. There's tic-tac-toe made out of tree wood. It's supposed to be really cool. So that's another place that's definitely on our list.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Well, I encourage people to click through, look at the blog post and look at all the different parks because it's worth maybe going to a different part of town. Like if you haven't gone to the west side before, go to Woodlawn Lake. If you haven't been to the south side before, go to Pearsall Park. It's an amazing park. It's huge.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and gosh, I wonder when they're going to turn on the splash pad.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I almost don't want to jinx it. But yes, that to me, like the first spray of the splash pad is something we will all be rejoicing for this year. They are saying what I've read so far says spring break. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. speaking of water features, the San Antonio Botanical Garden, they've turned on No Name Creek. That
Oh,
water
good
feature.
to know. We just
That's
got a
on.
membership there. Actually, my brother gifted us a membership, and as sort of our welcome back to San Antonio, and I can't wait to use it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, awesome. Well, those are some great ideas about parks. And then, so one of the other themes that you picked was be a tourist in your own city.
Yes.
So, what are some of the landmarks that you recommend for families to check out?
Okay, so I will admit that for many years, I collectively have lived in San Antonio for 6 years. Like I mentioned, most of those were without kids. And I think, like many locals, I sort of fell victim to the jaded outlook of, oh, we don't go downtown or we don't go to the Riverwalk, right? That's for tourists, which we're all guilty of. But I have to say, I made the mistake of never hopping on a Go Rio river cruise. And that was a big mistake. We hopped on one recently, a few months ago, and it was so cool. They clock in at about 35 minutes a ride. So it's very manageable. Even my squirmy 3-year-old had a great time, and I didn't feel like I was keeping her from jumping overboard or anything. The drivers of these things are, I mean, they deserve a raise, just for the record. They're super funny, charismatic. They tell great stories. I picked up on some real interesting tidbits I wouldn't have known otherwise. Not to mention they're navigating these giant bumper boats through the tiny Riverwalk. It's an experience, and I think it's so cool. So they offer local discounts. You get a couple bucks off as a local if you can show your ID. Kids go half price. I think as easy as it is to park somewhere nearby, you can park at La Vita. There's a ticket booth right there. You can hop on, sort of make a night out of it. It's one fun way to experience our city sort of alongside the people that come here just to see the Riverwalk. I think we forget, I think it's 24.9 million visitors a year come to San Antonio for leisure activities. And I think, you live here long enough and you kind of think the Riverwalk is played out, but there's something to be said for experiencing it alongside other people that are excited to see it maybe for the first time. So I highly recommend a river cruise. And also the Saga, which is the light show at San Fernando Cathedral. One kind of cool perk about this is that your kids get to stay up a little late. And I don't know about you guys, but that's something my 6-year-old would be so excited about, to get to stay up late one night on spring break. Because of course it does have to be dark. They do some earlier evening shows, I think 7:30, but normally the shows run at 9:30. It's totally free. You can bring a chair, bring a cooler. There's also, street vendors nearby you can grab snacks from, but the show itself is spectacular. And I think something kids of all ages would appreciate. Not to mention, it's right in the heart of downtown on Main Plaza. You can hop to the river from there. You can go to Market Square easily. So that, I think, is not to be missed.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, aside from parking, it's free. I mean, that's, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Really cool. And downtown Tuesdays, with city lots are free. So that would be another recommendation is if you can swing going downtown on a Tuesday night, if you find a city lot, you can park for free, which is a good reason to plan Tuesday night downtown.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. So I have not been on the Go Rio since they adopted the electric barges. Like that's how long it's been since I've been on it. So it's
easily forgotten, but so cool.
Yeah.
And now that the new Thompson Hotel is finished construction downtown, it's really cool to see it from sort of down below. I mean, you really feel like you're looking at a skyscraper. It was fun.
That's cool. I did, this is more of like a big kid thing, but like I took my kids to kayak on the Riverwalk, which is a new thing that started in the pandemic. So like I would not recommend it with a squirmy 3-year-old unless they're a really good swimmer.
I don't want to be tipped over in that river necessarily.
Exactly. Yeah, no, me neither. Yeah, no, we managed to like kayak like all the way down to the loop and the bend and back without tipping.
Whoa.
So, but that's more of like a big kid thing. But
That's
yeah,
something we'll work towards.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, there's things like I mean, I remember like learning about like, oh, there's dinosaur tracks at Government Canyon State Natural Area. Like that's so cool. But it took a while before like my kids had the stamina like to be able to walk all the way from the entrance to so I guess like my advice is like I don't want families with young children to feel discouraged that oh there's all this stuff you can't do yet. It's like instead like look at the glass half full. Look at all the fun stuff you can do with young kids and cherish like how they react to things, like how much
Yes.
wonder they have about the world, and like set aside your preconceptions about like oh Riverwalk is for tourists, like let go of that and just embrace like being in awe like with your kids.
I love that you said that because that's something I mentioned in this blog post is just how everybody knows this spring break is different, but I think we can, if we, and not to sound too Pollyanna about it, but if you can embrace a bit of a slower pace spring break, I think that you will be surprised how much fun it is to see things through your kids' eyes. A light show late at night, this splash pad opening for the first time of the season. Those are seemingly simple things, but I do think that this is going to be the spring break we all remember as the spring break where things started to look up.
Yeah. I feel that way too. And and I mean, what a year it's been for Texas too, with, I mean, like what the contrast of having, everything shut down for a week with snow and just how much stress everyone had experienced with that. And
you mean the fake spring break is what we like to call that week.
Yeah.
It was like the spring break that was not planned. And now we're getting to do the spring break that we actually planned for.
Right. And I'm sure people are going to be a little like PTSD about like, the last time we had spring break, that lasted a little longer than we expected. Right?
I said that, we probably all have some residual abandonment issues. Last spring break was the time school gave our kids back and then never took them back again. So that is another reason why I think it's wise to take this spring break a little slower. And if you are staycationing, there's no shame in that. It's a great time to ease back into adventuring.
Yeah. And for me, like we've been pretty cautious because like we've had like the grandparents in our pod. And so it's like we had to be super careful. Like my kids have been doing distance learning. But like the grandparents are vaccinated. And that's why we felt comfortable doing the kayaking. And like I feel like we can like add some stuff back in, and
yes.
I like how like the choices you made of things to recommend, like these are things that like I think like it's time to let go of our fear and be thoughtful about what we're doing, but don't feel like we have to say no to everything. Cause like, that's no way to live. Right. And like, we need to like, bring some optimism back in, and start putting things on the calendar. I mean, I'm still traumatized for having to like, wipe everything off my calendar last year.
I know. Well, I think one thing you asked was, is this what makes spring break 2021 different, or is this just a repeat of last year? And to your point, I think at least the parents that I've talked to, we all are starting, that wanderlust is starting to creep in a little bit. And I think that's normal and natural. We're all getting the itch to plan something, to get in the car, get on a plane. And that's hopefully what people find on this list is if you are wanting to get out of the house and you have been feeling cooped up, these are all things you can do pretty safely. Of course, like everybody can make their own decision about what is safe for their family, but these options are great for being outside and being distanced, and doing things at your own pace. So hopefully there's something for everyone. And then, next year we can all do that overseas trip we were hoping for.
That's right. Okay, so one of the themes you picked in the post was like things that are retro, like you call it family flashback day.
Yeah.
So that's one of the cool things about San Antonio is like there's cool old stuff or like retro stuff that's still around. So what were some of your picks?
I think I could have alternatively titled this Ways to Embarrass Your Kids. So, for people like you whose kids are a little bit older, you can throw your hair in a side ponytail and go to the skating rink. So the Rollercade on Recoleta, I think if you haven't been, it's totally worth a visit. I went once for adults only night and had so much fun. Asked myself why I hadn't been to the skating rink since I was a kid. I think most of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s that spent weekends at the skate rink or birthday parties, it's going to immediately transport you back to your childhood. It is very Saved by the Bell. It's neon, it's bright. So, like I said, if you have your scrunchie handy, now is the time to bust it out. They have bargain. See, there you go. There you go. Gosh, I knew I should have gotten mine. They have bargain night on Tuesday nights. So you can get in for $3 per person. There's, like I said, adult night is Wednesday, which if by the middle of spring break, you need a little break, a little date night. It's kind of a fun, creative option. And then they do weekend afternoon family skates. So I think it's just a fun way to maybe, show your kids how it's done and laugh a little bit, like take it easy.
Yeah. Maybe slip the DJ some requests, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, there's so much in San Antonio, and like I miss, like I go through my old photos looking for stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I haven't been there. Like I gotta go back, and there's still things on my wish list that I haven't been to, and like yeah, I miss like trying new restaurants, and I mean, I know
that was the other. So I think if you're gonna do a full family flashback night, you obviously have to get a milkshake. 410 Diner still serves their milkshakes in the old-fashioned frosted glass, the tall classic milkshake glasses with whipped cream on top. Would be an excellent way to end the night, or even for a lunch treat or something like that. You can't forget that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a great thing about San Antonio. There are some businesses that have been around for a long time, and yeah, if we can support local businesses and keep them, help them get through this, then they will hopefully be with us for many years to come.
Yes, exactly. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is what an interesting time this is. It's like it's spring break 2021, and we know spring break 2020 was weird, like you mentioned, and we still don't have like the full range of choices that we would have had in the past. Like I'm not ready to go back to movie theaters yet. Like I'm so good with Netflix for now. We all have our.
We'll ever go back to the movies the way that it's been so nice to watch in the comfort of your own home. I mean, now that they've become so much more available to us, I don't know if we'll ever go back.
I know. Yeah, who knows what the world will be like, but it does feel, I like you, I share this sense of optimism that like the range of options of stuff we can do is getting broader, and the world is getting safer. And and then, I mean, what SA Charter Moms does is, we share information, and if it's about schools, that's great. If it's about enrichment and like, stuff you can do with your kids, and there's an educational aspect to all of these things, like learning about the history of San Antonio, and like getting out in nature, and and also just getting them tired before nap time.
That in itself is our daily goal. But you're right. Yeah. I have to say, through San Antonio Charter Moms is the way I found and got my kindergartner registered for Great Hearts. And it's been, since we've come back and been parents here the second time around, it's really been so resourceful, especially the Facebook group. I love being able to just hop on there and ask questions. I was searching for schools from California. So knowing that we were going to be here for kindergarten, but not knowing a thing about most schools, it was my go-to resource as I was looking for where we were going to end up with our kindergartner. And so I feel like I have you to thank for that. And when it comes to, like you mentioned, feeling the pressure, I think is something that comes up this spring break, right? Like it's supposed to be a school break, but of course, like I don't think any mom wants their kid to sit in front of the TV the entire break or to not do anything semi-productive. And also there's a lot of pressure to do the spectacular thing or make the most memorable spring break ever. And I always joke and say, like, I pulled out of the Mom of the Year competition March 2020. I gave up on that. And so I think like there is so much to be said for a slower, more dialed back spring break this year. And there's hopefully in this blog post, people will find that there are ways to incorporate special memories and even some learnings, like you said, nature, physical activity, all of those things, I think. And most importantly, most of these are free. So I think as we go into this first spring break, slightly back to normal, it's a good way to take the pressure off and just say, you know what, we're going to have fun where it might not be like most other spring breaks, but we can have fun at a low cost and at not a lot of work for mom and dad.
That's great. Yeah. Like find those simple pleasures staying in San Antonio. And like you said, it's choose your own adventure. So it's like, look at the list and find what things click for you and kind of build your own itinerary and respect nap time. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, this has been great. I'm so grateful for the blog post, and it's a joy to talk to you. And I look forward to, like, you know, someday we can like get together face to face and do big hugs and let our kids chase each other.
Sometime soon. Yes. Yes. And I'd love to see how everybody spends their spring break here. I am personally excited. It's our first spring season in San Antonio with kids. So, you know, we might not be fiestaing and doing the normal San Antonio spring, but I am excited to find some new spots, and I hope everybody else does too.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, thank you. I want to encourage everybody in the description of the video, click through and you know, look at Gloria's ideas. Lots of great things, and I hope it helps you have a really fun spring break. And yeah, in the group, I'm going to start a thread. I want people to share like what they're doing for spring break. Again, it's not a Mom of the Year contest. It's just like, you know, just share your joy. You know, if you find some joy in a really strange time in history, let's celebrate that. Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks, Gloria.
Thanks, Inga. See you later. Happy spring break.